Chiefs Kingdom, this is Steve from All Chiefed Up, and I'm back with another podcast for that ass. Today we're going to do a quick 7-round mock draft on PFF.com. We're going to pick for the Chiefs. We're not going to do any trades. We're just going to keep it brief and simple. I haven't got to dive too far into all these draft prospects yet, so I'm not going to get into in-depth conversation about it. But we kind of know which positions the Chiefs may be targeting, and we'll get to see what players will be around when the Chiefs are picking according to PFF's big board. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off, shall we? We'll see what happens here. I tried to keep it as, close to realistic. I didn't have it completely not random, just barely a little randomness on there. But this is supposed to be going by teams' needs and things like that. So we'll see how this plays out and see what's available for the Chiefs here at pick number 32. It just so happens here at pick 32, the number one guy on the list is J.J. McCarthy, obviously not going after a quarterback. But that just goes to show you that there's going to be some valuable key players still at the end of the first round, which makes this a draft that I think is prime for the Chiefs to trade back if need be, just depending on how things fall. But right now, this is making it easy for me because they have Tyler Guyton, tackle from Oklahoma, on the board. On the board, baby. So we're going to take him right now. No further discussion needed. The Chiefs definitely need to address the tackle position. Donovan Smith was obviously on a one-year contract. Wanye's still developing. So yeah, definite good pick for the Chiefs right here in the first round. Now let's see what's still hanging around at pick 64. So at pick 64, what do you think the Chiefs might be looking for here? A lot of people think a second-round wide receiver because that's been the MO of Brett Veach and crew. You had McCole Hardman in the second round, Sky Moore, and then most recently Rashee Rice. But hasn't really paid off for the Chiefs because out of those, the only one I feel like has been a pretty good hit so far is Rashee Rice. Of course, he's developed really well throughout his rookie season, and we're looking for big things from him going forward. With the chemistry he was able to grow with Patrick Mahomes and just him getting more comfortable with the game, it started to really slow down for him. He was finding the soft spots in the zones. Andy Reid figured out how to use them. The kid's going to be a force. But do they go ahead and look at another wide receiver in the second round in this draft? That's a big question. A lot of people have the Chiefs taking a wide receiver either in the first round or the second round. Everyone knows the Chiefs need some wide receiver help, but I just don't know if they're going to go ahead and take one in the second round here. We can see what's available. But they also have some other needs as well. I think Mike's talked about this on a couple of his videos, but there is a need for defensive linemen, either at edge, defensive insiders, whatever. We need it. We need some depth there. We got a lot of guys we have to re-sign. A lot of guys I don't know if we will be able to re-sign. Like Mike Dana, for instance. I mean, this guy's market value is at $15 million a year. If that's the case, if that's accurate, that's according to Spot Track, I don't know if the Chiefs will be able to pay Mike Dana. And that's kind of a bummer because I'm a fan, and I feel like he's been a kind of underrated defender for the Chiefs. But since wide receiver is a hot topic, let's go ahead and take a look at who's available right now in the second round. Just wanted to take a quick second to tell you guys to head over to merch.allchiefedup.com and check out our t-shirts, hoodies, hats, whatever you want. Rep the channel, rep your favorite team. It's all right here together at merch.allchiefedup.com until the end of February. You can use the promo code CHAMPIONS for free shipping and all of that. And of course, the Kansas City Strong shirts, all of those proceeds are going to go to the Casey Strong Foundation. So please get over there, support the channel, and grab yourself some merch at merch.allchiefedup.com. Looks like Jalen Polk from Washington, Devontae Walker from North Carolina, Johnny Wilson from Florida State. I do like Johnny Wilson. He's a huge guy, 6'7", very good pass catcher. Xavier Legette, that's a fan favorite. Everyone talks about him. He has only had like one season of real productivity there. So it's a little scary. You got Jamari Thrash from the University of Louisville right up the road here. Brendan Rice on the board. Jerry Rice descendant right here, baby. I like him. I like what he can do on the field, but just knowing he has that blood in his veins, don't that make you feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy inside about him? So definitely like Brendan Rice. This guy right here, early on in my evaluations, Malachi Corley, the wide receiver from Western Kentucky. I think right now, he makes the most sense for the Chiefs early on in my evaluations. Is he my favorite wide receiver in this draft? Probably not. If I had to pick one right now, at the moment, I like Keon Coleman from Florida State, but he's more than likely going to have to be a first-round pick if he's available. If he were to bust off a 4.40 at the combine or something crazy, he could very easily go way earlier in the first round. So I kind of don't really have him on my big board as far as who I think the Chiefs will be able to acquire. But this Malachi Corley right here, they got him at the average draft position of 75.9 on PFF. The rank is 78, of course. You can see it right there. But Malachi Corley, he reminds me a lot of Deebo Samuel. Like he's a receiver that can do a lot of different things. He loves contact. Malachi Corley is a guy that's not going to be out there making like huge 50-yard bomb plays and things like that. But what Malachi Corley does is catch the ball consistently and create yak. And that's a type of guy that Kansas City would love to have. Malachi could definitely run out of the slot, and that would be a big help for the Chiefs. Also progressing Rashee Rice, having Malachi Corley there. And then you think maybe they still go ahead and sign a free agent wide receiver with a little bit of experience. That's a possibility as well. But that's what we have on the board for wide receiver right now. What I would like to look at is the defensive line. And I noticed right off the bat here at rank 59, they have Braden Fisk. It's just an average draft position for him at 74.4, which I find pretty low. If you watched any of the combine earlier today, you saw that Braden Fisk was one of the winners of the defensive inside at the combine. This guy measures out like a freak. Like his wingspan's ridiculous. That arm length, that's a big thing. Like me and Mike were talking about that earlier. I think that's a very not undervalued, but like underrated like measurement that they go by is arm length. Like the Chiefs do it on offensive linemen, they'll do it on defensive linemen. It's just something you don't really think about. But Braden Fisk is a solid pick right here, and knowing that we're going to need somebody on the inside after we sign Chris Jones, because yes, you're hearing it right here, baby. There is going to be a nice Chris Jones contract coming up, so we could pair Braden Fisk beside him. And it would be a really good fit for the Chiefs, in my opinion. If we look right here at the PFF grades of Braden Fisk, he was a 73.9 overall last season. But just to break it down just a little bit further, but not getting crazy in depth, pass rush grade of 73.7 and a run grade defense of 69.4. That's pretty solid right there on both accounts. Obviously, he's a better pass rusher than he is a run defender, according to PFF. But he's still decent at run defending. We have to think about it. Also, that defensive insider that will go beside Chris Jones is probably going to be somebody that can run stuff. We had another guy from FSU named Derek Nottie. We've had him for the last few years. I don't know if he'll be back. He very well could be. Would not surprise me one bit, but he's a good run stuffer. But I do like this one. This guy right here, kind of feeling good about this pick right here, actually, because I feel like that would definitely beef up that defensive line and give Chris Jones a good running mate there in the middle. And yeah, we're going to need depth pieces there. We have Neil Farrell Jr. that we got from the Raiders. I am high on him. I was high on him a couple years ago in the draft, but I also know that he hasn't like really played up to the standard, I suppose, but I don't know if that's for lack of snaps and things like that. But he got to get some time in against the Ravens. I saw some very good plays by Neil Farrell, a big time run stuffer. So I do like this piece here, but I like Malachi Corley. I like him. I think Chiefs Kingdom would agree with me that getting a wide receiver right here is a much more sexy pick. And we like sexy here at All Chiefed Up. So we're going to pass on Jalen Polk, Devontae Walker, Johnny Wilson, Xavier Legette, Jamari Thrash, Brendan Rice. Hey, they're all there, baby. But we're going to take Malachi Corley because we don't know if he's going to be here in the third round. So we're going to go ahead and take him right now. And look at how this is fell, ladies and gentlemen. Just like butter, we got Michael Hall Jr. waiting here in the midst, the defensive insider from Ohio State. This is why I didn't go ahead and take Fisk in the last round, because I thought, hey, we can grab Corley and maybe we'll have somebody in the third round we can start looking at for that defensive insider. And it worked out perfect for us in this particular mock draft. Michael Hall Jr. is actually one that I really like. He's a 77.2 overall grade from PFF last season, a pass rush grade of 84.8. That's freaking huge. He had 2 sacks, 22 hurries, 22 freaking hurries last year, guys. You're hearing that right from a defensive insider. That's like somebody that you can put beside Chris Jones, and it's like you're going to give a lot of teams headaches with something like that. His true pass rush grade was an 87.6 overall, and he's still hanging around the 70 mark on run defense. His run stop rate's is 7.3%. I think like his pass rush win rate is 18.3%. That's freaking huge. Like, and he's playing great competition, obviously, playing at Ohio State. He is a little short. He's at 6'2", 280, so he's a little bit undersized, but I still like him. I like him a lot. He's only 20 years old. So I think we're going to go ahead and take Michael Hall Jr. right here in the 3rd round and snag our defensive insider. So now that we've addressed some big things like tackle, wide receiver, the defensive interior, it kind of opens us up a little bit here.
Hey guys, if you didn't know by now, we partnered up with our friends over at FOCO. We're bringing you all kinds of Chiefs merchandise. Use our code CHIEFEDUP10 and get your Super Bowl champions back-to-back merchandise. We've got bobbleheads with Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones. We even got Casey Wolf. We've got plenty of others over there. You can go check them out. Plus, they sell tumblers. They sell gnomes. They sell wristbands, Steve. Look at that one. But yeah, they've got everything. Check the description. Hit up our link. Let them know All Chiefed Up sent you, and grab yourself something commemorative from FOCO.
In the 4th round of the draft here, it opens us up a little bit to take a look and see what's available. Right off the bat, I see a guy that a lot of people are big on with the tight end from Kansas State here. A lot of people like him. But like at this point, I feel like it's kind of open for the Chiefs. Like if you've addressed the wide receiver problem, you've addressed the tackle thing, and you already have somebody else to go inside there with Chris Jones, I feel like we've opened ourselves up to, be a little more flexible on this pick. So one position I never rule out with Brett Veach is going to be any kind of defensive secondary. We all know how he loves to draft them, and we all know how he hits on those guys. So let's take a look at cornerback, because yeah, we have a lot of good cornerbacks, but we got to keep that pipeline flowing, baby. We got to keep it flowing. If L'Jarius Sneed were to be traded, then we're could definitely be looking at that in the draft. So let's take a look and see what we got here. Right off the bat, I do see DJ James there. I'm a fan of his. Kalen Carson as well. If you go down the list just a little bit further, there's a guy that I think is kind of a sleeper. Kamal Hadden, the cornerback from Tennessee. Let's just take a look at what Mr. Kamal Hadden pulled off in college here. He didn't get to play a full season, but he played 7 games last season, and he rated 85.7 from PFF. If you look even further, there's some things in here that really just like get the gears turning in there, man. His average passer rating when he was targeted was a 7 passer rating. That's beautiful. Coverage grade was a 90.4. His zone coverage grade was a 90.9. His man coverage grade was a 69. So yeah, Spags likes to play quite a bit of man coverage, but we noticed last season that they opted to zone quite a bit more than they had in the past. So not a huge deal there. His run defense leaves a lot to be desired, but as far as a guy that can get out there and defend passes, Kamal Hadden is definitely a sleeper I would keep my eyes on. I don't know about him at this juncture in the draft. I think it's just a little bit early for him. I think he might be more of a 5th rounder than a 4th rounder. So let's go take a look at something else that I think the Chiefs could very well take a look at in this draft. There's 2 other positions that would be tight end. And of course, I think running back is something else they'll look at in this draft. I don't think either of those are like pressing. We don't have to have them. They could kind of be luxury picks. But I do see a guy on the list right here. As far as tight ends go, I would probably tend to lean more towards Ben from Kansas State than Theo Johnson of Penn State. But the Chiefs did interview Theo Johnson at the Combine, which means they have their eyeballs on him. And normally, if they're interviewing them, they have their eyeballs on them. The Chiefs like to pick those guys. That's just what they do. So it would kind of be between those two. Between the two, like I said, personally, I like Ben better, but Theo is a solid pass catching tight end as well. His receiving grade was a 67.2. He is 6'6", 264. So he's a bigger body than what we're used to seeing at tight end. I think Travis Kelce's more around 6'4". It says 6'5", but I'm 6'3", and I was pretty much eye to eye with Travis Kelce, so I think that's a lie. A little bit of embellishment, if you will. But 6'6" for Theo Johnson, that's a pretty big tight end there, 264 pounds. Kelsey's more in that 240 range, if I had to guess. So a little bit bigger type guy there. But if you look at Ben from the Kansas State Wildcats, he was an 82 graded tight end overall last season, 81 receiving grade. That's a beautiful thing there. And if you'll notice, he also had 6 touchdowns last year, which means he's a pretty solid red zone target. This guy, 6'4", 245. He's more in the Kelce size, build, athleticism. And I think the Chiefs like that. And I know they have it with Noah Gray. But, can you have too much? Like, I don't know if Noah Gray, I like Noah Gray. I really do. And I think that he could be a successor to Travis Kelce. I think he could be a lot better than people think he can be. But if they're not sold on him, this is a pick they could really go for here. If they don't ever see Noah Gray as being that guy, which, it's up for debate. Let's do it. Why not? We'll take a shot with this guy. I mean, like I said, you have Noah Gray. So, I mean, if it doesn't pan out, you got a couple different ways you can go, but it's nice to get as many of those guys in there as you can to try to have somebody that can take over those reins when Travis Kelce calls it quits. And wouldn't you know, you could have just waited till the 5th round and took Theo Johnson. I'll tell you, that could definitely be somebody that they look at and end up going with. But I guess at this point, we're kind of just looking at either best player available, according to what we think the Chiefs would need position-wise. I think we talked about it quite a few already. So far, we've hit on the big ones, wide receiver, tackle, defensive interior, and we've had the luxury of going ahead and snagging a tight end as well. So I think running back, I know they might not take one very early, especially at this juncture, because you have a lot of the guys off the board that I would feel comfortable with. Like, obviously Bucky Irving would be huge for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you want to spend a pick on a halfback, which I kind of doubt it, but that guy could be a force in the Chiefs offense. Very athletic. Another guy, Ray Davis from Kentucky. I really like him. Both guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield and are great athletes. There's also one I see here, and I'm going to go ahead and take him just for the sake of moving this thing along, but it's going to fill a need at halfback. He's also a bit of a smaller guy, but he's solid, and everybody knows him out there in Missouri. His name's Cody Schrader. We'll go ahead and take him right here in the 5th round, and that's going to leave us with 3 more picks. 3 more picks, so we'll go ahead and the later we get in the draft, it's always a little less discussion, and we can kind of move it forward. But we've been able to take some good picks so far. So I'll go ahead and kind of push it on through right here, but just kind of eyeballing what's available. I do see Kamal Hadden still available, which is the cornerback I was talking about earlier, which I think could be a sleeper in this draft. If you look at the numbers, I know it was a small sample size, but what a beast, baby. So we're going to go ahead and take them right here, and that'll fill us up at cornerback. That'll help out there. So yeah, let's see what's available here. And pretty much on these last 2 picks, it's pick 210, 250. We're going to go ahead and probably take close to best player available, but we'll see what's still hanging out there. If anything's intriguing, we'll definitely snatch it up. One position that we haven't addressed yet that I think they might look for in the draft is going to be defensive end. Mike thinks they might look at one fairly early in the draft, and I think they could as well. I've actually got to watch quite a bit of tape in the last day. Actually, I started looking at some edge rushers, and there's some good value on edge rushers in this draft. And there's actually a guy hanging out right here at the top, near the top, that I did watch some tape on yesterday, and I do like what he offered, and that is Solomon Byrd from USC. This guy had an 81 overall rating with an 81.7 pass rush grade, a 74.8 run defense. I really like what he offered to USC last year. If you watch it, I thought he was a very athletic, good edge rusher. He had 7 sacks. 22 hurries. So he was definitely making quarterbacks' lives miserable, making them uncomfortable to say the least. He's 6'3", 250, pretty athletic guy, and I liked him. I think that Spags could figure out something good to do with this guy. And you put him back there behind Felix Anudike-Uzama and BJ Thompson, the guys that we got in the draft last year. I think he'll fit in perfectly right there. So I do like that pick there. And we got one more here at 250, and we'll round this draft off. And then we'll look and see what PFF has graded our mock draft here and see if we're up to their standards or what they think that the Chiefs need. So here we are with the last pick for the Chiefs in the draft at 250. I think it'd be funny to take Tua's brother just because we could just, go ahead and, stash him away just to have one on Tua. We'll have him do some McCole Hardman-esque and, double agent type stuff. He can go hang out with his brother and give away the game plan for the Miami Dolphins or some trash like that. But no, I see a safety here. I'm going to go ahead and take a safety. I know Brett Veach loves his, you know what? I don't know. I think I'm going to skip on Kenny Logan Jr. because I see another guy that I actually like this late in the draft, and that's guard Layden Robinson from Texas A&M. So we might be looking at interior offensive linemen, guys. You never know. We have a lot of guys to re-sign. We got more contracts coming up next year. You got Joe Tooney on the big contract. Trey Smith's got to be re-signed. Darian Kennard walked. He went to Philadelphia to see what he could do over there. So yeah, we have Allegretti, but we have not re-signed him yet, obviously. And he kind of showed that he could earn some money. So Allegretti might not be back. I would love to see him back, though, because solid as hell performance in the playoffs. And then, of course, you got Mike Caliendo down there as well. So we got some depth there, but not a lot. Layden Robinson, he's not the greatest guard in the draft, but with guard, I feel like they are a little easier to fill than some positions. I think if you look back a couple of years ago, he was actually killing it. 80.7 graded guard in 2021 according to PFF. I think he, I've seen just a little bit of tape on this guy. He's an SEC guy, and I think he would be a good pick, a good value at 250. I mean, even if you miss, if he doesn't pan out, you're looking at a practice squad guy or something like that. It's the last pick you got in the draft here in the 7th round. So I'll go ahead and take him just for depth purposes, and we'll go ahead and check out how this draft worked out for us. Dun, 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 dun. And here we are for a wrap up. In round 1 at pick 32, we were able to snag tackle Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. PFF graded it a B. I'm not sure why they would grade that a B. I feel like that would definitely be an A, if not an A+ pick for the Kansas City Chiefs at pick number 32. But nonetheless, they gave it a B. Malachi Corley, wide receiver from Western Kentucky. We took him in the 2nd round at pick 64, which I think if you want Malachi Corley, you might have to go up a little bit further in the round 2, because I think he's going to continue to climb the board. He's probably going to be a mid 2nd round guy. So I think if you want him, you might have to go up and get him. But either way, he fell to us here. A B- from PFF. I don't know what they're on right now, but I don't like it. I think Malachi Corley fills a need for the Chiefs. He fits the Chiefs. He's got a lot of potential. I think he's an easy B+ pick there, if not an A, at least an A-, right? But round 3, we got Michael Hall Jr., defensive interior player from Ohio State. They graded that an A-. Look at that, number 95, baby. What's that remind you of? No, but I do think he would be a good piece to be in there beside Chris Jones and a good depth piece for the defensive line. So I could see why they gave us an A- with that pick. We went ahead and took in round 4, pick 133, Kansas State tight end. B- on that pick. So that's a pretty good grade for that. Here's the one that I think is hilarious. They gave us a D for Cody Schrader in round 5, pick 158. Granted, yeah, I feel like if it was pick or round 1 through 4 and we're taking a running back, I would start to wonder a little bit. Unless you see a guy like Bucky Irving, somebody like you want to put your eggs in that basket, then by all means, if that's what they feel like we need to do. But Cody Schrader, I feel like for round 5 and what he was able to do in college, I feel like he fits with the Chiefs pretty well. I think that would be a decent pick in round 5. So I'm not gonna agree with that D there. I think if anything, you can give me the C plus, but I'm not taking a D for that one. And then Kamal Hadden, cornerback, round 5, pick 172. They gave it a C minus, and that's okay. He had a very small sample size. So like I said, I'm going off of a little sample size, and I think it could be a sleeper. But could it go the other way? It very well could. So a C minus, I think, is fair for that. And then, of course, like I said, I really saw some good things from edge rusher Solomon Byrd from USC. And he's all the way down here in round 6 at pick 210. They gave us an A minus for that pick. And then guard Layden Robinson, took him with our last pick in the draft, round 7, pick 250. And got a C plus for that. Overall draft grade is a B minus. I would say if the Chiefs actually drafted these guys right here, it would be every bit of a B minus. I feel like it hits a lot of needs. You got some guys you know are going to be good. You got some guys in there that have a very high ceiling and could be really good. You even got guys in the later rounds like Kamal Hadden, Solomon Byrd, Layden Robinson that could be a lot better than people think they're going to be and would be tremendous value if they pan out. So I think B minus is fair for this draft, but I would think I would grade it a B myself. I'm going to take the minus off there. I think it's a good solid B draft, but appreciate you being here with me, hanging out, doing this mock draft. If you'd like to see more content like this, please put it down in the comments. Also, let us know who you think the Chiefs should be targeting in this draft. And thanks for liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.